Roorkee, and my interest is web development, open source, finance, and competitive programming. So let's begin. So I'll tell you what will be the flow of this discussion, and it is more like a discussion also. First, I'll tell you about open source, how to start and how to start the contribution, what are the things you should be careful about, and then we will talk about different open source programs, and more precisely, we'll talk about GirlScript Summer of Code, and at the end, I'll take the question. And meanwhile, if you have any questions, put in the chat box. Okay, let's begin. So first of all, what is open source? In very easy terms, I can say open source refers to something people can modify and share and enhance because its design, its code, everything is available online. It is publicly accessible. So, if I want to relate it to something from our daily life, I can say it is more like water. We all uses water, and not a single person owns a water, right? So, open source is like that. The organization or the project mentor puts their code online somewhere, and we people who uses those projects or product, we can contribute and we can modify. And open source includes many things. It can be project, products, initiatives, or it is a complete community oriented development. So, for example, these are some of the famous open source projects like which many people of you and me are using, like Mozilla Firefox, Linux. And while using this open source software, if you come up with a plan that, okay, this is a new feature that can be implemented, or there's an issue in this software, there's a repetitive bug you can see. So there's a chance that you can always go and check where they have stored or pushed their source code. Like for example, Mozilla, you can find their Mozilla GitHub. And if you want to implement a new feature, go and see what is the discussion, where's the discussion channel, and you can discuss with the project mentor or with the project admin and continue. But before this, as a beginner, like I'm saying, when you learn a skill, let's say you are learning web development or maybe machine learning, maybe UI UX designing, and now you want to start open source, like start contributions to open source. So you have lot of questions like why, where, how to start with open source. First of all, let's see, who is this for? Like open source is for whom? I'll tell you, it is for everyone from every age. Like it can be a school student, you can be a school student, you can be a college student, or even you can be a working professional, and still you can go and contribute to open source. And there is no gender and age restriction. People of any age and gender can contribute to open source. Now, why? Like why we should contribute to open source? See, there are really good benefits of going and contributing to open source. First, there's a great scope to learn. Like when you are doing started a new skill or learning a new skill, maybe for example you're learning React, and you find an open source project of React. So you can start doing any contribution to it, and you will learn eventually that there are many things more to learn in the same technical skill, in the same language. So you learn a lot, and again, you learn from people. When you are in the discussion channel of open source, there are many people from different backgrounds, different range of experience. Like maybe some of them will be having 15 or 18 years of experience in that language, in that tech stack. And when you see their code, you will learn how to write a so clean code, so concise and so crisp, so clear. So you learn these things, and obviously it is going to help in your portfolio. Like if you mention this open source, you have a good experience in open source, you can always mention in your resume. And obviously you are going to meet many people of similar interest, and not just, it is not, open source is not restricted to your college or to your community. You can meet people and discuss with people like living in different time zone, different countries, and you can have good discussion with them. You can work with them, learn with them, and obviously it gives that perk that, for example, you are using Mozilla and you have if and it is an open source software, we all know, then there's always a chance that you can go and add some good feature in that. You can try to add a good feature, write a new piece of code which will be used like from by many people. So yeah, there are a lot of benefits. And now, how to start the discussion, as I'm mentioning again and again, that you can discuss to the project admin or project maintainer. You might think, okay, where to discuss? Good. See, generally these all open source program, maybe it is Mozilla, Firefox, Mozilla, Fedora, Linux, Wikimedia, or any normal projects. They are generally they keep their codes on GitHub, GitLab, and mostly the discussion channel can be Discord, Gitter, Slack, Zulip. You can find these all in their code. Wherever they store the code, they have to mention on which platform the discussions is going on. When you'll check their code, you'll see that they have mentioned where they are discussing. Now you can go on the discussion channels, join the channels, introduce yourself, introduce your technical skills, and then start discussing like what are the aims of the project, what else you are going to enhance in the project, what project admin is planning for next 3 months, 4 months in that project or in that product, right? Now, there's a big question, how to choose a project. Yeah, exactly. When I started with web development, I was also very confused, like how to choose a project. See, there's always a good, in open source, it's not restricted to just web development or just UI UX. You can always choose a project of your language, which language you are learning. Even if you are doing ML, you can go and select a project. For example, you can see these project lists that are available here in GSOC organization. And you can see their options for operating system. If you are learning operating system and you want to contribute in that, there are many organizations that provide their open source code in that field. Maybe you can go and search for web. And if you are new to Django and you want to contribute to that, you can check their projects, idea list, their discussion channels, and this way you can select your project. Okay. Now, if you're going to start an open source contribution, before that, I want to give you few advices that are really useful. Firstly, when you are checking for a project, like if I have to do or contribute to this project or not, first check if the project is active or inactive. You can check from their GitHub when was the last contribution made, when was the last commitment done in that project. If the duration is like too long, maybe 5 years back, the last time someone edited that project, don't go for that project. Check the projects which are active in last few months. It is very important. Second, how responsive and welcoming are the project maintainers? See, if as a beginner or even if you are have experience and you are going for a new project or a new product in an open source, always have a discussion first in the discussion channel and see how are the project admins and the other colleagues. Are they welcoming or not? Are they clearing your queries or not? Because every project has their own rules, own methods to contribute. So you have to be very, you have to see if the project maintainers are good enough or not. Secondly, as a beginner, if you are going to start a contribution, in the issues list, you have to check in that. So there is always see the structure of a project is generally a source code, then issues, discussions. So in issues, they generally mark the level. So if it is first issue or a bug fix, documentation issue, many kind of. So for a beginner, I'll suggest search good first issue, good issues to solve, beginner friendly issues. Search those tags when you are starting a contribution. And yeah, one more important thing, if a project has if a project is launched as an open source, it should have a license. So always check if they have mentioned about a license or not. The other thing, if the project have code of conduct, it is very important when you start contributing. Before that, go through three things of the project. First, it's code of conduct. What are the rules? What are the regulations? How much the project is documented. Like you have to check the documentation. If they have mentioned every like tech stack they are using, the motto of the project, what extra features they are going to add or plan, what is the flow of work for the project, and what are the contribution guidelines. Like many times I have seen in my case that there were some projects where you can just create an issue and work on that issue, but in some projects they have a rule that you have to first discuss with the mentor, then he will or she will tell you that you go and create an issue, then you can work on that issue. So there are some, these are the few rules that you have to be very careful when you're making a new contribution or you're starting with a new project. Now, people generally ask like how or in which fields we can contribute in open source. See, it is not restricted to just web development. It is you can add new features to that open source software, fix any bugs already available, or maybe you can check on the issue list. If there's on bug to fix, you can go and start with that issue. Or maybe UI UX design. If a project is at very initial stage, maybe they are planning for new, new website or new anything, and they want design part, then you can help and go and contribute in the design part. Wireframe, solution architecture, outreach, like they are also organization. I remember when I was being part of was part of outreach last year. So there was an organization who wanted people who can make good poster designs for their organization. So you can always contribute in these fields also in documentation. It is not important that if you are going to start with open source that you should know only like coding part. No, there are many other things available, and you can always go and check which is more comfortable or what you want to learn and where you want to contribute. It's your decision. Okay. Now, these are some of the useful links that I have collected for you for your first contribution. Or if you are a beginner, you can check this. I'll share this PPT after the session. Okay. Now, as a beginner, I have faced many problems. I'll share when I learned Python, and I started with Django, and I found there was a organization, yes, Creative Commons, and they were using Django project, and it was in my first year. I faced a lot of problems, so I want to discuss with that with you. Maybe you people are also facing that problems. Like many times we are not confident in technical skills. The problem arises when the project is too big, like it has a proper structure. So I'll say if you're not confident with the issue you're solving, or when you see a project and you cannot understand the source code, give time. Try to understand firstly the structure. Ask the, go and talk to the project admins or maintainers, like what is the project structure, which issue I should work on, and lack of beginner issues. Sometimes there's a problem that in a project there is no beginner issue, there's no good first issue. All the issues are, have a good level or hard level. So okay, in that case you should go and search for other projects. Sometimes projects can be big. One more problem that arises with everyone, and I understand very well being in college, that time management. Sometimes we have our assignments, sometimes there's our test, and you have to also give time to open source. So, okay, and I'll discuss what to do then and when and where to start. I have already told you that those links that I shared in the last, you can start from here. And giving up on issue, this happens sometimes. This even happens if you're experienced, that you find an issue that you started working on and you cannot work, so move on from that issue. Yeah, so how to tackle, as I saying that if you are not confident enough with the technical part, okay, it's completely fine. With time you'll learn more and experience more, so you'll learn like how to solve an issue. If you're like, for example, taken an issue from React or anything, and you're working and you cannot find the solution, always talk to people, ask from more experienced people. And we always have Google with us, Google the stuffs, so you'll find how to solve that issue. And yeah, one thing that I missed, that was time management. See, when you are starting with open source, So don't like just go and start doing 10 hours contribution in a single day. No, go step by step. First 1 week you just give few hours or 1 hour a week, but every week be consistent. Like with time, you will learn how to give more time to this issue, which issue requires more time, which issues require more discussion. So yeah, with time you'll learn how to manage time with your college work as well. And that last issue, that sometimes we work on an issue and we cannot solve it, it's okay, just move on to other issue, find some other issue which is more suitable for you and solve that. So summing up till now, what I told you, that in open source, what we do, how we contribute. First, we find a project, a very suitable project, or a tech, like if you are learning machine learning, okay, then find a project which has something to do with machine learning or related to the technical skill you are working or learning these days. And then you find a problem, like a problem can be already which an issue which is created in their website or in their project code, or maybe an issue you want to work on. Find that issue, work on that issue, give you time to yourself, have a lot of discussions on that issue with the mentors, with your colleagues, and then submit your work. That create a PR. You'll learn about this PR, GitHub, maybe in further session, or you can learn Git and GitHub because it is very useful for open source. And now, these are some of the famous open source programs, maybe MLH, Oktoberfest, Google Summer of Code, you all have learned, maybe listen about GirlScript Summer of Code, Outreachy. To tell you only here, this Outreachy is for only female, but rest are open for everyone. And if you want to check on some more list, there is very famous this GitHub repository which tells you about different sum of code programs. They have, it has timeline even attached for everyone, every program, and you can check this list. I'll share this link also at the end. And even also this person has mentioned if it has stipend, what is the timeline, what are the prerequisites for this program, and what are the prizes and everything, perks of participation. Now let's talk about GirlScript. See, GirlScript is a non-profit company and it was well started back in 2017. And this organization is really useful for and supportive for all the beginners in technology. And it is not limited to one technology. They provide you a very good range of tech stacks you can work on. And yes, it really supports women IGBT uh, but they also empower every student, and it is really beginner friendly. It gives you really amazing mentors. I'll share my experience of GirlScript Summer of Code 2021. And let's talk about GirlScript Summer Code, which has already begun. The registration has already started. And see, it's a 3-month long open source program. And generally the timeline is from 1st March to 31st May. And the rules are like this. Like during the month of February, they take up the registrations, and around last week of February, they announced the result, like who are selected. And from 1st March or maybe 8th March, it's always tentative that you can start the contribution. Last year, I'll tell you the rules of the last year. That last year it happened for first month of March, we were told to contribute in every project we like we can make contributions to every projects or most of the projects which we like or which we want to work on. And in the last 2 months from April and May, in that period, we were assigned a specific project to work on, and we have to make contribution in that one project. But sometimes they even change the rules. Sometimes they have the rule that in all long 3 months you can contribute to any project and there will be a scoreboard. So yeah, what is the benefit of that scoreboard? I'll tell you. See, first thing that they'll provide is certificates, a good mentor, colleagues, goodies. But from the scoreboard, they launch it during maybe March end or starting of the program. It depends every year, like rules may vary. So in that scoreboard, there is a score of every contribution you make during this program, GirlScript. That for every contribution, there is a mark. Like if it is a very easy level, it can be 2 marks. Tough level, then 4 marks. There are different marks labeled, and for all 3 months, they keep a record of all your contributions from your GitHub ID. And at the end, you can see what is your score in the whole 3 months, and the top contributors get a prize for that. And in between also, maybe your mentor or for your good work or dedication, they'll provide you goodies. Okay, and overall, it is really great learning experience. Last year, when I was contributing to this program, my mentor was he was in London and during this program, and we used to we all the participants with the mentor, we had meetings. We used to in that project was. They were beginning from very initial small level that all the things were done by us, project planning, wireframes, designing, as well as development part. So it was a really, really great learning experience for me. See, yeah, I was talking about the timeline that generally from 1st March, the coding period began, and 1st April, the leaderboard opens. But it is generally maybe it can vary. They'll update you all the time on their website, and they have a Discord channel as well. So if you are looking forward for GirlScript Summer of Code, do join their Discord channel. And yeah, their application is open, and you can see the deadline is very near. So if you're looking for a good experience in open source and you're a beginner and you want to learn a lot and have a really good experience, I'll suggest do participate in GirlScript Summer of Code, and don't restrict yourself to just one program. There are many. Google Summer of Code will also come from March or April. Its registration and project contribution begins, and their outreach has also started. So they are all these programs are almost active now for these are northern hemisphere. So I'll suggest start looking first, make your first contribution, get some confident, learn, and then you can start with different programs. So yeah, now I'll take the questions.
Okay, so for the deadline, we have extended contributors deadline to 25th of February, and soon we will update this thing on our social media handles. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
So if you have any questions, you can write in chat box.
And also all the questions that came during the form submission, we'll take that also after that. Is the option available for attendees to unmute themselves and ask the question, Sachin?
Yeah. You can unmute as well.
Ma'am, is there
Anything?
any test or any qualification criteria or such for participating in these?
See, different programs have different rules. Like for GirlScript, I remember Sachin is this time. Are they checking their GitHub profiles or are they
Uh,
allowing?
like for contributors, we are not checking. We will ask for the tech stack and everything.
Yeah, they'll ask.
But we will try that maximum applicants get
Maximum people, yeah.
selected. Yeah.
But sometimes, like for other programs, there's other rules. Like in outreachy, if you are going to participate, you have to first contribute to a project. Like you start the contribution 3 months ago, 6 months ago, and when you become a good part of the community, they see your work for last 3 months, and you have to write a proposal what you want to work more on, any issue or any feature you are going to work for the rest 3 months. And then you have to the results are out on the basis of the proposal and what you worked for last 3 months. And same goes with Google Summer of Code also, that you have to first contribute to a project, then you have like how much you learned and how much you worked in first few months, and then you have to write a proposal, and on that basis they select you for the program.
So, ma'am, we have to make our own project ideas as well and submit it.
See, it depends upon the organizations. There are some organizations that accept that your new ideas, but some do not. Like what their already idea list is there, like what I was showing that time, the organization list. See, when you go and see, no, they have already 2021 idea list. So for 2022 also they'll release soon. They'll release. Okay. But if you are already into any organization or into any skills that you have to work, you can just go and join and discuss your new ideas with them. Okay, on their discussion channel. So maybe they'll accept if they like your idea, and then you can work on your idea as well. So it depends on the organization. It completely depends on them.
One major problem that could be faced by many of us is that we know only the very basic of coding. We
Hmm.
don't even know much, as you are saying, projects and all that. So
Hmm.
what are the prerequisites?
See, like for example, tell me what is your technical skills, what you are learning these days. I'll give example or
So
explanation on that.
about five
Sorry, I'm not
and
audible. You're not audible.
am I audible now?
uh, your voice, there's a lot of noise actually.
Hello, am I audible, ma'am?
Yeah, you're audible now.
Ma'am, I was saying that I know only till file handling in Python, and same goes for object-oriented programming in C++, the
Okay.
basics of what we are being taught in school and in college.
Okay.
So then how further we have to go?
Okay. See, if I say about C++, okay, let's take Python. That you have learned Python, you know basics of Python right now. Okay. So what you should do, or like when I was learning Python, what I did that first it's very good whenever you learn a language. It is advised by everyone that you should do a big, like self projects, very basic projects, how to implement things, how to implement functions. Okay, so I'll suggest always whenever you start learning any language or any technical skills, do one or two projects along with that. Very small projects. Don't do a lot, very big project with documentation. No, just do small projects to see how much you have learned and how much you can execute. This is one thing that I'll suggest. Secondly, if you find a project related to Python, okay, they see one thing that happens during the open source that they mention Python, but the level they want is really nice. Like they want you to be a bit expert in that field. So what you do, just mail the mentors, or already they will mention who is the mentor of the project, who is the project admin. Okay, so mail them that I want to contribute to the project, but I am a beginner. So give me the source code or the link for the source code and the link for the discussion channel. Join that channel and discuss with them what is the beginner thing that I should learn, or any other library or library I should learn in Python for this project. And they'll tell you, they'll always guide you. Okay, you can learn this also for this. You have to learn Django also, or any, if it's related to web and it's related to different things, then they'll tell you. And you should start learning and doing watching tutorials of the same. So this way you will learn, and again you have to implement in the project. Then take the easy issues first, what I mentioned. Small issues, maybe simply fixing a very small bug or a typo even. Then you will learn how to read a code and understand a code. Like it takes really nice good time to understand the code structure. So when you ask the mentor, ask them about the code structure they are going to use in their project. Try to read about it. Try read its documentation, then you will know okay what to do. You can proceed like this. Have I
Okay,
cleared
ma'am.
your
I
doubt?
uh, I will add one thing. Like for GirlScript Summer of Code, we have posted projects and tech stack which we are using, so you can just check it on LinkedIn. And you do not need to know all tech stack. If you know only one, then you are good to contribute.
Sir, is it for web development only?
No, it
No,
is not. Uh, okay, Sachin, you take that.
like if you like designing, then you can do UI UX designing part. If you know documentation, you can create the README file. So it is open for all. You know C, C++, you can contribute. I hope I answered your question.
There are more
Yes.
questions, I guess, in the chat box. C and Python should be able to join 25. Who is this? Isha from first year. My skills strong research frameworks. Is she in the meeting right now? Has asked this question. Am I currently developing my coding skills in C and Python? So would I be able to join GirlScript Summer of Code 25? Yeah, you can join now also in 2022 if you have started learning these skills. I think is she in the meeting, Sachin? Isha.
Yes, ma'am, I'm there in
Yeah.
the meeting.
So what's your doubt that you can join it in 2025? Like you have started now and you want to join in 25, like this?
No, I mean to say is like I have developed my basic skills. Would I be able to participate in GirlScript Summer of Code?
Yes, you can. Definitely, you should go for that. And it's I'll tell everyone it is not important that you have to be expert first, then you start contributing. Just not GirlScript Summer of Code, any program. They all welcome beginners, and they're really nice people, all those mentors or who are the project admin. If you are really a beginner at where just started coding, and they'll provide you, okay, you do first solve easy issues, do the documentation part, and they'll tell you how to proceed. So if you have started, just you should go for GirlScript Summer of Code and other programs also.
Ma'am, so how should we approach to the mentors and all?
See, if they have provided, Sachin, you people have provided right now the
Yeah.
project list.
We are providing the project list on LinkedIn, and soon we will assign mentors to the people who have registered as contributor. So we will
Yeah,
add you in Discord and you can ask doubts there.
they'll add you, and in there
Yeah.
they will mention who is the project admin. So talk to them, and also you can also connect them
Yeah.
on. Well, try to see
Slack
on the
and
GitHub
GitHub.
and Slack and GitHub. Yeah, exactly. To connect there also, and you can put your issues in the GitHub channel, GitHub source code also. Okay. One more question is there, no? Do we need to know every tech stack mentioned in a project that we want to be part of? No, definitely not. The issues are divided. Like you can solve the particular issue, but to understand the project structure better way, if you know all the tech stack, it will be easy for you to contribute more in that project. Or should we start learning a technical skill? Exactly at what stage can we take up some open source project? Who is this? Shruti Agarwal. Are you in the meeting right now? Shruti? I, Sachin, just look if she's in the meeting or not.
She is in meeting. There might be a network issue from her side.
Okay, so I'll tell this question that how we should start learning a technical skill. See, when I'll tell you how I learned web development and my skills, and if that you find maybe you can find it useful. That in my first year, for you can just go for a boot camp. They are available on many. They're available, their packages are available, and you can buy a bootcamp and go for a free bootcamp as well. And they really provide you good modules to learn a technical skills with small projects. I mentioned earlier that whenever you learn a technical skill, any language, any framework, you should do some small projects as well, so you learn it in a better way. And when you are confident about the language, or when you're like that, okay, I have learned a bit now, and then you can always go for an open source project. Start reading their code, start reading their documentation. If you are able to understand it, go to make some contribution as well. Any more questions?
Ma'am, after I have learned web development, then I should start from GitHub, learn contributing to GitHub or such GSOC or such MLS fellowships like.
Okay. See, you have learned GitHub web development. So you done any projects also by yourself,
Uh,
like self projects during the learning period?
just websites using JavaScript, HTML, and CSS.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, you should learn Git or GitHub or go for these open source program. So I'll tell you, for these open source program, what generally the trend is that they use the medium Git and GitHub. So I'll suggest you first definitely learn Git and GitHub. What is that? How to use that? How to create a PR and everything? How to fork a project in your local machine and do some changes. So Git and GitHub allows you to do that, and then you go for open source program, because mostly all the organization uses GitHub. There are only few exceptional that they use different platforms, but generally they use GitHub as a platform to push their source code. So yeah, you definitely learn GitHub and then go for open source programs if you have
And yeah,
learned web.
we are organizing a workshop also for Git and GitHub
Yeah.
on this Wednesday, so you can definitely join that.
Ma'am, initially from where should I start contributing? From the very basic.
I shared no that there was a slide here. It has all those links. These links are very useful for first timers. Okay, I'll share this with you people and go to through these links. You will find some, as if how to make your first contribution, how to start open source. So yeah, these links will help you. And once you learn this about this Git and GitHub, you'll know how GitHub has all those source codes and all the projects pushed there. So you'll know like, okay, I can contribute now in this project. This is my technical skill. Okay.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Any more doubts? Sachin, is there any doubt left in the forms also that came during the form submission?
Yeah.
We can take that also if
Okay.
anything is not covered.
So, what are the benefits and how to participate?
Benefits.
Mm,
Okay. So yeah, I already mentioned that during the presentation that you really can learn a lot from people, and also you will get certificates, goodies, prizes, stipend also in many of the programs. So that's also a good perk, and you can get letter of recommendation from your mentor. So these are very nice perks that you get during this open source programs.
And next, just a minute.
And also the participants right now, if you have any doubt, please ask. Free, like don't feel shy if it's even it's silly doubt, just ask, because I used to have many doubts in my first year.
Okay, so how to be a part of open source contribution program and what should be our approach towards it? So,
Yeah, I've
like
already addressed it, like
there are forms and you can just fill those forms. And what are the skills required and that I can learn quickly to get started in open source contribution and start earning. So,
okay, earning. So yeah, there are there are many open source program that provide you a stipend, and if you want to check which open source program provide you stipend, go, that's this link I've shared. I'll share in the chat right now. Wait, I'll share. there they have mentioned which one they will provide stipend or not. If you want to check, you can check the list from here. I'll just share.
More than stipend, you learn a lot in open source.
Yeah,
Open
you
source.
learn, you get a lot of experience and a lot of people you can, learn from them also. Wait, there's a question.
Yeah.
Do we need to learn multiple languages? Which language should be preferred most? Vivek, about what side you're talking about? Like, is it related to development you're talking about or any other field?
For coding like C++, C, Python, or Java, which should be preferred more?
Okay, so it depends like what you want to do further, but I'll say if you want to go for open source, you'll see most of the projects are in JavaScript and Python. And if you are very good you want to do very good in competitive programming, so go for C++, and also you can contribute with in C++ language as well. So I'll suggest one thing, just don't see which language is preferred most, see which language you can learn better way. See, all the languages are going to be used in some of the projects in either way, okay? So it's good that you learn that language or practice that language which you are good at or which you can be good at, okay? And yes, you will find JavaScript and Python projects a lot. Development projects are also there and Python projects are also there. And you can find other also, but these are in like big ratio.
So, any more questions? You can ask by unmuting yourself
Yes,
and can
definitely.
write it in chat.
And what you have shared are a lot of links. Which would you prefer more over the others for beginner?
Okay, which
So,
one?
like
This one?
beginner, you can participate in GirlScript Summer of Code. Like this is very beginner friendly projects.
They
Uh,
have those projects that are easy to understand as well.
yeah. GSOC and Outreach are also good, but they required some past experience.
They require actually a good amount of time. You have to first dedicate to the organization. You have to be part of organization for at least 3 months or 4 months. Some organization accept you, but some do not. They have the rule that you have to be part of the organization already for 6 months. Then they'll accept your proposal. So if you are a beginner, I'll suggest first go for GirlScript Summer of Code. You will get a good experience. You will learn a lot, and then maybe next year you can go for other girls GSOC and Outreach as well. And there in winters also there are many open source programs, so you can check that also.
So the
Okay, ma'am.
next question in the form is, can
Okay,
a first
wait.
year
Sachin, maybe she was asking some other question. Shruti, go.
Shruti?
And how should we find those learning resources or like resources, other resources?
Learning resources are you talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, first, see, one thing that I mentioned during the presentation was Google is our, God. Go and search, like what you, the very important thing, if you're learning web development, like, see, I'm a person with development experience. So I'll say when I was learning React, it is difficult to comprehend, but its documentation is very nicely. So whenever you are going to learn a skill or any framework, first always see its documentation, okay? And then you can see some good tutorials from YouTube. There are many, but see whose likes are more or views are more, and go with that. And also for web development, there is a very good website. It is free open source. Wait, I'll see and I'll send that link to people. There's a good link for web development there for JavaScript and React. So you can also see check that. It is maybe a free open source or something like that. Free for code or something. It is related. Or right now I cannot remember. Wait. So it is free code camp. Okay, so I'll share the link for development. You can check this. So it's like this. You can search for different technical skills. And always see the documentation of their original. They always provide beginners tutorials also in the documentation part, so you can also check that for any framework or library. Anything more? Yeah.
So in the form we have a question that can a first year student participate in GirlScript Summer of Code? Yes.
Definitely. But you should start learning a skill for that. Anything, but at least one language you should start so that you can choose a project on the basis of that.
Right. So if you have any more questions, you can ask. So if you do not have questions, so we can wrap up the session. Thank you all for joining, and I will provide the recording to you.
Also, if you have future questions maybe in future, so you can ask me on LinkedIn or connect me with there, and I'll for sure clear your doubts.
Can you, maybe you can send your profile link in chat.
Okay, great. Send the link so you can ask me questions there also. And this person who wants to join now. Okay.
I have sent mine also. If you have any query, you can ask. Okay. And do check out GirlScript Summer of Code if you want to participate in open source contribution.